Привіт.
Bonjour.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Morning Brew with Vienna Whyte, Season 1, Episode 45, a Yeg Music production. I'm your host, Marissa Kay.
I'm your other host, Millie Rouge, and welcome everybody.
Welcome. That's right, our name is not collectively Vienna. We are both named different names.
Oh, it's pretty funny. I reached out to a couple people in Vienna, actually. I was like, I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna get someone on this stream.
That would be so cool.
Instagram live stream that's from Vienna. But I don't know if anyone has replied yet. There
That'd
is kind
be
of
so
a
amazing.
wonky time zone difference, but we could make it work.
That would
They could be on the round table at least.
That would be ideal. If we could get somebody from Vienna, that would be so cool.
Right? I don't even know if I could say my intro properly. I'd be like, I'm from Vienna. Whyte. They'd be like, what? I'm confused.
Yeah, then they'd be like, I regret coming on this show.
Like, why did you call your band Vienna? Oh, lots of reasons.
Yeah, but no, I think that would just be really cool just to have somebody from Vienna. We could talk about
Absolutely.
Anyway.
I just don't know what it's like.
Me too. I've heard that it's very beautiful there.
Yeah. We said we were going to go there, so we're going.
Yes, that is true. And we're also going to go to Toronto. We're also going to go to California.
We're going to move to Toronto.
We're going to move.
I'm telling you my plans, my next 5-year plans. I'm kidding.
To be fair, if you would have asked me 5 years ago what I would be doing now,
you would not be this.
This is not what I expected to be doing. Sitting in my house for 3 months.
Oh yeah, this. I thought you meant Vienna Whyte. I was like, I didn't really expect that either. But
no, well, yeah, but no, I meant like 5 years from now. If you would have asked me what my plans were for 2020, I would have not told you sitting in my house for 3 months. So none of us had 2020 vision.
Things. Yeah, I'm trying to think 5 years ago where I thought it would be.
5 years ago was 2015.
So I was in McEwen.
Yeah. I was in my second last year I was about to graduate.
I was just going to say I would have been graduating this year. I think I would have been graduated by now because school was over in April.
Did you finish before me?
I think it was 2015. Maybe 2016.
I don't remember.
That's
because I also did like an extra year.
Yeah, I took the 2 years. So I started in 2013. No. 2012, I thought. But then I took that extra year, right? So it's 3 years. I'm pretty sure it's 2015.
I can't believe that was only 5 years ago. It feels like so much longer. It feels like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I started university in 2011.
Maybe that's why.
I was done in 2016.
Yeah. Because we technically we graduated 5 years ago, but technically we were in school for me, I was in school 8 years ago. But
I'm so old. I feel so old.
It's crazy.
Yikes. I know everyone who's over 26 is watching this being like, you're not old. I'm like, don't lie to me. You went through this exact thing when you were my age. You said the exact same thing.
Well, and you know what? I was talking to my bio teacher because I'm doing this bio course, and I was like, yeah, the last time I did bio, and I was talking just like freshly how long it had been. I was like, was 10 years ago, and I literally was like, because it freaked me out saying that to someone. I was like,
yeah, it's one of those things where you start to realize just how fast time flies. And like to this day, my biggest fear is like going to bed and then waking up and seeing that I've aged like 50 years overnight. Like that is like, not because I'm scared of like wrinkles and getting old. I'm just scared of just like missing my life, you know? So, and I mean,
getting real deep this morning.
Oh yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's a very valid fear that a lot of 20 somethings, even 30 somethings have, like, you know, totally. There is no normal now. Like back in the day, it was, you know, go to school, go to university, get a degree, get a job, get a house, have a family, die. But now it's like, go to high school, get a diploma, get a degree, get a job that's not in your field, get a part-time job, get another part-time job, get a third part-time job, go back, go to school, get another degree, go get a job that's kind of in your field with a very low pay grade, and then do this, and then live with your partner. Oh, you got to move back in with your parents. Okay, now you met your partner, but you still live with your parents. Now you move in with your partner. Now you got to decide if you want kids. Can you afford kids? Blah, 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 blah. And there's no it's very much like this.
Yeah, there's literally no feeling of stability ever.
No, not at all.
I saw this meme joke once that was like, there's this rap song that has this line in it where he's like, I don't know what he says, but it's like, I've been something since the 5th grade. Like he's trying to act like he's all cool and legit.
Mhm.
And this one meme is like, I've been screaming internally since the 5th grade. And I'm like, you know what? I relate to that. That's how I do feel. I've been screaming since grade 5 internally in my brain, like, what
Yeah.
is going on?
Also, just like really weird thing that I remember very vividly from like elementary school. I remember we were on a bus and we were going to we were either coming back or going to a field trip.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, my friend just started shouting as loud as she could. And she had a very loud voice. And I just noticed that she had a very loud voice. And I wanted to do it. So I tried. And I thought that the louder, if I just screamed long enough, eventually my voice would like crack and it would just get really, really loud. I don't know why I had this in my head. So basically I just screamed because I wanted to see if I could go loud.
Yeah.
And that was all. And then our teacher came back and was like, why are you yelling? Like, stop. And I got in so much trouble. Because it was just like, she was like, why are you yelling? And I was like, I don't know.
You're trying to explain it. I was literally
just trying to see how loud I could scream. Like,
yeah.
So when kids scream, it's not because they're like upset. It's just sometimes they're experimenting. They're just trying to see how loud they can go.
Yep, exactly. That is so true.
Anyway.
Yeah. Someone who works in the school board kind of knows that and feels that life of kids just screaming. And you're like, why are you screaming?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, it's true, but
yeah. So let's see your segue of how you were just about to say.
Yes. Speaking of shouting at the top of your lungs, because woo, this album. I don't know.
This is why I do the segues, okay?
This is why you do the segues. I'm sorry.
They're terrible.
Our topic of today is our review of Carly Rae Jepsen's new album called Dedicated Side B. Woo-hoo. And it's actually a companion album to her first one, which Shane's here. Hi, Shane. Shane's always here.
There we go. Did you just wave at me on Instagram?
Her first album, I believe. What?
No, sorry, it's okay. I'm in. I'm getting in.
Okay. So her first album, this is like a
side B.
Yeah, no, it's a companion album to Dedicated from 2019. Yes. Yeah. It's interesting because she made this album as like technically the B-side of Dedicated, right?
Yeah. So my question
I haven't listened to Dedicated, so I don't know.
Yeah. Wait a minute. That just made me think of something.
What?
I hope I listened to the right album. No, I'm pretty sure I did.
Dedicated Side B?
I'm pretty sure I did. I hope I didn't listen to Dedicated. That would sound about right.
Well, actually, that would give us an interesting back and forth between what Dedicated sounds like and what
does the album cover look like?
When you're listening. It's like Carly Rae Jepsen. Okay, I'm gonna like pose like her. Okay, so she's got her arms like this, and she's like,
her boobs,
and she's like,
yeah, we listened to the same one. Okay, never mind, we're good. We good.
It was released on May 21st, 2020. So it's another quarantine album.
Yes, which seems to be the trend. Which I mean, makes sense, but.
And actually, I was looking at just like a couple of things about this album because I was interested to learn more.
Yes.
And in certain reviews, they were saying that it's, what did they say? Provides a joyous burst of escapism from the miserable everyday, the lockdown yin to the yang of Charlie XCX's How I'm Feeling Now.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I love
They're literally comparing and contrasting the two. If you guys haven't seen our review of Charlie XCX's album, that is also on our YouTube channel if you want to go check out that video.
You can watch me rip it apart.
But then you can talk about this one, which is like literally the complete opposite of that album. So yeah. What were your first impressions?
Yeah, hoping that I listened to the right album because I have this strange feeling I didn't, but either way, I feel like it's fairly the same. I really found that it felt like I was in 2010 all over again. Okay, now
that's what I was gonna say.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa,
Yep.
that is creepy. Okay, first of all, because I think Carly Rae Jepsen's Call Me Maybe song was popular in like 2012 or 2010. I don't know exactly. I feel like it was 2012, but
Somewhere in the realm of the last decade.
yeah. So when I was listening, I just felt like I was listening to um just a lot of the old Carly Rae Jepsen that I was used to. So it didn't really feel different. It just felt like, oh yeah, like when I listened to it, I was like, this sounds like Carly Rae Jepsen. Like this sounds like exactly what I was expecting to hear. I was hoping for like more depth in the album in between certain songs. Like sometimes artists have like a very generic album, but there's those few, ballads that just like, ooh, sink in, or Call Me
Art
Maybe
said Call Me
sounds
Maybe
older.
sounds older than
Oh,
2012, but I don't know.
I think, anyways, you could be
I'll
right.
look it up right
Someone
now.
look it up, yeah. But yeah, I felt like I was in high school or at my summer camp because I remember we listened to a lot of Carly Rae Jepsen. But so like
2011, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
2011. So
Very interesting. I was
you
close.
were right. Arch
Yeah.
was technically right. 2011.
Yeah,
Nailed it.
awesome.
That was the year I started going to university.
Yeah, there
I
you
graduated
go.
high school that year. Oh my God.
Crazy.
Okay. Anyway.
So yeah, that's just like my overall kind of first opinion of what I thought of it. I enjoyed the album to an extent, but I didn't feel like it was like a super complex or like challenging album. And I kind of, after I listened, I was like, oh, it's called like side B. So in my opinion, when I hear side B or whatever it's called, I think, oh, these are just B tracks that were just released because it's quarantine and you're trying to give people content because they're bored or whatnot.
Yeah, I agree to an extent. I kind of thought the same thing when I first listened to it, and then I kind of decided to dig because there's a couple songs that I actually really, really enjoyed from this album.
Yeah.
That were like bops, and I was. But my first overall impression when I was listening to the first couple of songs, I got the impression that this was like a very summer album.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, when I went back to go read about it, that was literally one of the first things that came up about this album was that she said apparently she wrote 200 songs for this album for
heard that too.
This, which is insane. But she wanted it to be, which I don't quite agree with it, but she said she wanted the beachy vibe of the Beach Boys, which I didn't hear any Beach Boys.
No.
But I heard like in the song I guess I Don't Hate California Now or whatever the California one is. I was like, I heard that. But like she said she definitely wanted it to be like a summery type thing. So I definitely got that impression from this album. Like I could totally hear myself listening to this on vacation,
Yeah. Well, a comment I actually wrote is I said it'd be the perfect soundtrack for if you were like having a girls' night and you're like, let's drink wine, and you're just like all starting to dance and you're just having like a good time, or like you're going out and it's like not music that you would necessarily be like, I love this song, I'm gonna download it, but like it just fits that mood pretty accurate.
The moment. Actually funnily enough, I thought almost the same thing where I was like, I could totally hear this and in like the opening titles to a 2000s movie, like where they wake up and they hit the alarm clock and then they're having breakfast, they're brushing their hair.
Like, Mom, God, you made me this huge breakfast, but I'm only gonna have a bite of toast and then leave.
Yeah, and then they're like walking in school and they're like, I'm the new kid and blah blah. Like that's what I imagined.
Basically any Hilary Duff or Lindsay Lohan movie.
Yeah, and that's what I got the 2000s vibe. But apparently, this album was very inspired by the 80s sound, which is very trendy right now, as they say. It's like the 30 years thing, which actually is interesting because like 30 years ago was the 90s, which makes me very sad when I think about that.
That is sad. Oh,
I'm 4 years away from being 30.
Don't talk about that. Please don't talk about that.
Sorry, I won't talk about that. Sorry.
Reverse that. What you just said. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm 22. What are you talking about?
I'm 20.
I'm 20. So, but I forget the point.
Sorry.
It was just like 80s. It was a very 80s. Like I think a lot of the synths that were used and the sounds that were used were sounding. Just the lyrical content in general was very like 80s pop if you really think about it when you go back to listen to it, which was her intention. When I read about it, that was kind of her intention. Like the first half of the album I got 2000s and like early 2000s, and the second half I got 80s, which is
I agree with that.
So
and I actually read that she like plays synth a lot, So I think that's another reason why that really shines through, is because that's kind of
Okay.
like her instrument, if I've read that
I
correctly.
see.
Yeah.
I see. I see. Hi, Kendall.
So yeah, kind
Yeah,
of makes
that's
sense.
completely fair. And like she also said there was a little bit of 70s disco involved, like kind of a little bit like ABBA. I heard some ABBA
Yes,
actually
80s
in
ABBA.
some of the yeah, in some of the melodies that I heard. Specifically, there is one thing that she did a lot that I noticed was the half step thing. Do, da, da. Like she did
Mm.
that a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and just yeah, just certain things about certain melodies. It was very reminiscent of ABBA,
Yeah, there's a
which
lot
was
of
cool. But I
really
was like,
cool repetitive melismas that I think she did, and in a lot of the
mhm,
same songs that she carried through the whole album, which is cool, kind of cool to see.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I agree.
Hmm.
There was a lot of also repetition too. It was just like what was
Yeah.
that one song? Um, I can't remember. I think it was "Felt This Way," where she's like, "Felt this way, away, away, away," like one
Yeah.
of those. It
Pop
was really
kind of
cool.
repetitive. Yeah.
Um,
And then she
yeah,
had another
but
song that was
I don't
called
know.
like
I
the
liked
same
the
thing.
second half of the album a lot better than the first half.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of just felt like every song blended together, which is okay. Like some albums really should be fluid and cohesive like that. But I just felt like every time I would click next, I'd be like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for you to just blow me away, Carly. And then it would just be kind of like the same thing I just listened to. And I was like, oh, well, okay. Like pretty good, but I just wanted a
Hmm.
little bit more. I was kind of like, okay, this is kind of what you've already did this and done this, you know? So, but
Yeah.
yeah, my connection's being weird.
Oh no, it's all good. I was looking at you on Instagram. I could see that you were talking on Instagram. So
Good, 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 good.
I got the gist of what you were saying based
Okay.
on your body language. Um, but
Body language. I should have done that just so you were like, what the
um,
frick is she saying?
yeah, just doing that. But no, I agree. I think that yeah, I think I liked a lot of the bops a lot
Mhm.
more than
The slow.
the slower ones. There was a
Yeah.
couple that I actually really liked of like the smaller ones, and I honestly I don't remember, like
Hmm.
I couldn't sing it back to you, but there was
No.
one that was kind of like a slower one.
I
I
feel
think it
like
was
I know which
Heartbeat.
one
It
you're
was
talking
Heartbeat.
about.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was Heartbeat. And I think that was the one that was just kind of like super chill, and I actually kind of like that one.
Yeah.
But
Did you download any
overall,
songs to your like?
um, no.
No, I didn't either.
I don't normally download any songs. I just like to, which sounds really bad coming from an artist, but um I don't know. I have to really, if I'm going to download a song, I want to download the album. That's just kind of how I feel. Like I want to
Okay.
be able to listen to the whole thing. I don't want just a couple songs.
Yeah.
Because I try to get albums in my life.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
but
Oh, that's fair.
I'd probably go back and listen to a couple of these.
Yeah. I found something interesting is that um I actually made a comment. I wrote a comment that said about this album. I said, if you are a Carly Rae Jepsen fan, this release would please a fan because
Mhm.
it's very much so like all the Carly Rae Jepsen you typically hear. And it doesn't really stray away in a different direction. It's not like totally new and like you're like, whoa, this doesn't sound like Carly at all. Like I
Mhm.
think this is like a filler album in a sense, but in an album that
Mhm.
still pleases like her audience and they're still happy with it. So she's like, yeah, why not? Like let's just release it because like almost like we'll do it for the fans, if you will, right? Like that's the
Mhm.
kind of vibe I was feeling from this album,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But
And we can go into specific songs as well, but that's about all the time we have for
yeah,
Instagram. So Instagram, we're gonna let you go. We'll
adios.
see you tomorrow. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
We won't see them tomorrow.
Well, on YouTube, we'll see them tomorrow,
Yeah, I
is what
was
I'm
like,
saying.
we won't be
Um,
anywhere, will we?
um,
That makes sense.
yeah. So I want to go through and I want to talk about some of our favorite songs from the album. So
You know
I'll let you
what?
go
Yeah.
first while I post.
Typically, this is funny because typically I write down a lot more songs, like even with the Weekend album,
Mhm.
but I had a very hard time picking specific songs. I didn't really comment about any song because to me they all sounded the exact effing
A
same.
lot of them sounded the same. You're absolutely right.
So I guess, well, I'll just kind of keep commenting on what I did say, but I agreed with the 80s synth ABBA feel. I think that was totally relevant. I kind of read her intentions of this album too, but I don't think she really met the intentions she was seeking. Um, I think, yeah, there was some influences here and there, but I think for the most part, I don't think it's like heavily influenced by the 80s. I think it's just a slight sense of inspiration comes from that.
Yeah, I agree.
The Window song, there's a song called Window. It had a really cool groove to it. And I think I was looking at the song credits on most of the songs because I actually have a funny story about why I did this. But initially, I was starting to look at the song credits to see like who was producing and to see like who the different writers were on each track kind of thing. And a lot of times the track would vary from people that were writing on it. So it seemed like there was a lot of different like collaborations with producers. So when I heard this Window song, I was like, this has like an R&B groove to it almost. So I was like, I feel like whatever producer you worked with or writer had a really heavy like kind of R&B style, because it felt kind of like not outputting, but it just didn't feel like it suited the rest of the songs. It still sounded great. And I wouldn't take it out, but it just was like, oh, this is a different feel. Okay, we're going R&B now. Okay, like cool. But I really like that one. I kind of think, yeah, I said this before, but it's a big continuous flow of similar beats and rhythm in most of the songs on the album. So
yeah, and a lot of them sounded like in the same key as well. Just maybe that wasn't the case, but like just basically where her voice sat in a lot of the songs, not all of them, but quite a few of the songs, they sounded very similar.
Yeah, there was one song called Felt This Way. It was a super catchy bop. The feel was great. And when I was listening, I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds like 1989 Taylor Swift. And I was like, that's so strange. That's so weird. And I was like, why does it sound so much like a 1989 song? And then I look at the song credits and I'm like, I bet you Jack Antonoff, who wrote most of 1989 with Taylor Swift, is on this album. Look in the song credits, Jack Antonoff. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's interesting because usually producers you don't really expect them to sound the same in every track with every artist, but they're both two pop artists like Taylor and Carly. So it's like, I guess it kind of makes sense that there'd be a heavy repetition kind of thing coming from him. But I was so shocked. I was just like, the fact that I could nail that is pretty nuts. Like, not that I'm saying like I'm great. It's just like,
no, I think that's the mark of a good, I think it's a mark of a good producer too, that they like, their sound, which is great.
Yeah. I just found it really interesting. I was like, oh, so then I started looking at all the song credits on each song to see if there was any other weird obscurities, but for the most part, it's pretty straightforward.
One of the people that surprised me was Theo Katzman, who I really liked him. I know him not even from like anything to do with like pop or like mainstream stuff. I mostly know him from like the indie artists that I used to follow, or I still follow them to this day, but through like a theater company that I follow on YouTube. And that's kind of how I found him, which I don't even remember how, but
well, Carly was in theater, was she not? Do you think those
are but I don't know if they were, I don't know how they met. I didn't go into the history of how they know each other, but that one just kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
But if I had to list, I'd say my favorite song on the entire album was probably This Love Isn't Crazy. Mostly just because I loved the production. I loved the harmonies in this song. I loved just like the catchiness of it, and it just felt really like really I guess really Carly Rae Jepsen.
The right album. We're good. I just had to look it up. I was like, please Lord. That was really
you listened to the right album.
Okay, good.
And so I really like that one. I also really liked Now I Don't Hate California After All, just because of all the soundscaping in that song too. Is really cool. And
there was some interesting little tidbits here and there that she kind of threw in for like soundscaping wise that I enjoyed too,
like the creative liberties that she took with certain songs. But I also I think that it's really amazing that she wrote like 200 songs for this album, because I was like, I have trouble writing one sometimes, and the fact that you wrote 200 is pretty insane.
I feel like she's a co-writer for other people though, typically. I think she does that, maybe, because that could maybe explain why she's so good at pumping out 200, because that's kind of like excessive.
That is pretty insane.
But maybe not. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. And I was looking at some of the reviews, and one of the reviews, I can't remember, John Lewis, he said the album feels much more than a compilation of outtakes from her last release. Could have easily functioned as a standalone record, but I I don't know. I mean, I think that it definitely, to me, it still sounds like a B-side for sure, but it's
Yeah.
called dedicated B-side, so like that
So
makes
it kind
sense.
of fits.
I
Yeah.
think it fits. I really liked the summery type vibe of this album, and I will probably listen to it while I'm sipping mojitos in my backyard this summer.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
she's from British Columbia, which is very interesting. And she was on Canadian Idol, which we actually talked about not too long ago in a couple episodes. I would be very curious to hear the dedicated album, just alone on its by itself, to kind of compare the two to see, like, I don't know, just to see the difference. But I think I agree. I think if I were to throw this album on, it would be in a very, like, not fully paying attention kind of way, like we've discussed in the past, like just throwing on the background and just like listening and kind of enjoying.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what the original function of this album was supposed to be. It was just supposed to be like a summertime album where you're just having a good time and just, you know, kind of enjoying it, and in a similar way that you'd, like, you know, enjoy, like, oh, I want to dance with somebody, like
Exactly.
that kind of thing, right? It's just like you pop it on and you all dance to it kind of thing. So I think that it achieved what it set out to do.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I think Carly Rae Jepsen, like I've had a discussion with someone else who went to McEwen actually, and it was a male, okay, so he was telling me how much he loves Carly Rae Jepsen and how talented she is. And it's just kind of a funny thing to hear, because most people that are male, you wouldn't think listen to Carly Rae Jepsen, but maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong. There's a stereotype, but I think it's just interesting because he's like, she's so good at writing melodies, and she's so good at writing these like pop hits, and she really knows what she's doing when she writes these songs. And like, yes, not every song is gonna, you know, blow you away with emotion or like, but I think she has the formula down for pop songs, and she knows how to just pump them out. Clearly she's writing 200 of them. So
yeah, so I think that it's also good that she wrote that many songs, because now, you know, you're getting the better ones.
Good stuff. Yeah. How do you filter through 200 songs though and be like, I don't know, these are my top 15?
I don't know.
I'd be like, here's my top 80.
I'd be like,
yeah,
like that's yeah. So yeah, I'd say overall I enjoyed this album. I thought it was like easy to listen to.
Not a bad listen.
Not a bad listen at all. I'd give it like a B plus.
I gave it a B minus, just because I think there's room for growth and potential, and I think it's a decent album, but I think compared to other ones, you know,
I got a soft spot for the summery albums.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is actually all the time we have for today. We gave our album review today of Carly Rae Jepsen's dedicated side B. My name is Millie Rouge.
And I'm Marissa Kay. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button to be notified when these shows come out. They come on Monday through Friday, every day, 6 a.m. MDT. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Pop on this album. Listen to it on the weekend.
Or go on Spotify and pop on our podcast, Vienna Whyte Podcast.
You should listen to the album while we're talking about. No kidding. Yeah. Don't do that.
You want to know something funny, actually?
What?
Someone commented on this YouTube, one of our videos. They said, haha, when you know Millie Rouge's sister. I was like, what? So I think one of my sister's students found this channel, and now they watch. So if you watch, hey,
shout out. Hello. If you watched all the way to the end, congratulations. You get
maybe they're just like outside my house watching me, and that's how they know.
Creepy.
So who knows?
All right, let's end this.
Friday.
Bye.